Well, hello, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. I'm Manasong, a lewd, degen, author and professional multiverse wizard specializing world building and Waifusmith. Now, by my shoulder is Grammary, a succubus who's always open to gamer acolytes. But the milking session is for after the stream because right now, it's time for some more
Greetings,
studying.
my loyal acolytes, my dear sources of pleasure. I welcome you with open arms and a sultry smile. Together, we form a sensuous family bound by desire and devotion. Prepare to be seduced, enchanted, and consumed by the intoxicating pleasures that await us.
Ooh, I like that last phrase. Prepare to be seduced, enchanted, and consumed. Now that is a great phrasing, I must say. Let me just move her window over. Actually, I needed to adjust each window still. Some of my overlays. There we go. I think she'll be fine now. And today we'll be continuing studying The Prince by Niccolò Machiavelli, but I kind of forgot where exactly we've stopped at. So this is where the last note is, the last highlight is. I'm gonna go from that one. Let me see. Oh, can I? I'm gonna test something later. I need to remind me to test something about that grammar again. There's always something you can do with her. Also, I forgot to prepare background music. Oops. Let's go. Call me JRPG music. No.
Billy underscore the underscore bucket. The art of lovemaking is a dance of passion and connection. It involves exploring each other's desires, embracing pleasure, and communicating openly. Whether through soft caresses, passionate kisses, or enticing movements, let your instincts guide you and savor the journey of intimacy.
Rather good advice. Communication. Communication is the most important advice, really. Important advice you could have when you're entering this journey. Now I want a playlist of Final Fantasy 14 music. Also, hello Billy. Lovely to have you here. My favorite observing bucket who just likes to watch as the man kissings happen. It's giving me. Hmm. Hmm. It's giving me expansion only. It's like a Stormblood OST relaxing, a Realm Reborn, Heaven's Word relaxing OST. I want one with every music. It makes sense now. It makes sense, okay. I hope it does. Relaxing, Final Fantasy 14 music. Whatever, I'm just gonna go with this one. There we go, I think this is fine. This seems fine. We'll see how the other musics go. It goes up and down. I thought the music was gonna get louder, and then it goes quiet again. I need a precise control, precise volume control. Okay, let's go back to the book itself now. Now that we have some.
Suck.
Thank you for the sack, Noe. Lovely to have you here, passing by. If you want a sucking from Grammar, you can just ask though. She has been very open and very not yes, you can even explicitly ask whatever you want. She's very hungry lately. Very feisty, I'd say. She's been. Let me see. In our times. Oh yes, two types of government. Turk and France. The Turks have only the monarchy, have only a singular monarchy, governed by one lord. The others are his servants. So just one monarch, one royal family. Everyone else is like public servants. While France has a shit ton of royal families, ancient multitude of lords. The problem is the difference is that while it's easy to govern the Turk kingdom because it's actually hard to break and invade the Turk kingdom because they are so united. There's just one family. Everyone else is very everyone else is just employed. Everyone else is just working. So there's not a lot of discussion unless there's some sort of schism going on, family issues, family civil war, family internal fighting. Yes, the Turk state is very stable and easy to defend because there's only one royal family. But if the royal family is deleted, if they lose their territory, everything else falls. Everything else falls. They're easy to actually govern after being conquered because they're hard to conquer, but after conquering them, it's easy to govern them because there's not many people left that has loyalty to the royal family. While the French, on the other hand, they have a lot of royals. So there's always someone who could. There's always some to represent them. You kill them, a French lord, you take his territory, but then another French lord is lining up on a queue, wanting to recover his French territory back, and the population will actually be loyal to this, more loyal to this new French lord because they share royal blood or noble blood. In this case, they share noble blood. So while the French nobility may be less united with each other, because they're nobles, like you know how it is. You know how it is, nobility. They're just using each other. So if a noble falls, good, I'll replace him. That's precisely the problem. No, French nobles are replaceable. So if one falls, the other is replaceable. But as long as there exists one French noble, there will be someone trying to reconquer the territory. So you have trouble holding on to conquer territory from the French. That is the last thing we learn from this passage, the differences between these two types of territories. The causes of the difficulties in being able to seize the kingdom of the Turk are that one cannot be able... Oh, let me move my mic a bit. Hold up. I want a better position for me to put my hand. I want a better position for me to put my hand on so that I can type something in case I need it, but it's kind of hard to find precise position. I think I need a boom arm. No, not boom arm. A microphone arm. Something to hold my microphone while I speak. So that my workstation, my drawer over here where my keyboard is free of space, because right now mic arms are very nice. Hello, Hyde. Nice to hear you here. Indeed, they are very nice. They're just kind of... I've seen a few and they're just too big. I need to find a precise one that's kind of small so it doesn't get in the way of my windows. And there's already so much stuff on my computer table, computer desk. So I need to be very precise with the type of mic arm that I get. Right now my mic is just sitting over here, sharing space with my keyboard and my mouse. So when I want to type something, it's kind of awkward. My other hand is in an awkward position. And it's very annoying. But okay. What was I gonna say? Yes, let's start reading now. So, just a little tiny... I want the mic to be closer to my my mouth so I can speak more softly. Howdy, man. Yeah, they can get in the way. Make sure you get one that can accept the size of your mic. There are 2 standard sizes. Oh, yes, there's also that. I also want to upgrade my mic. I'm not sure if my mic is the best quality. Like, I think I could... My mic was just like 100 reais, which is like 25 bucks. And so it's super cheap. I think I could upgrade a mic, so getting a mic arm for something that I might upgrade right now is so many things to upgrade, so many things to do, you know. One thing at a time. Maybe I'll look into mics later. Right now I can live with this little inconvenience. But anyway, let's actually start reading. I need to assume a more soft reading voice. I keep forgetting and I keep using the strong reading voice, which might not be best. I wanna give more relaxing. I wanna give a more relaxing stream for the watchers. It doesn't sound bad for 25 bucks. Oh, well, that's good to know. Though, yeah, I do feel slightly annoyed by the quality of it sometimes. Especially because I often have a fan with me, and I think that does lower a tiny bit the quality because of the noise filtering, having to go, things like that. Like I literally have a big climatizer beside me because I'm in hell right now. It's hot over here, down under, hot as fuck. But oh yes, my notes file. Okay. I have my notes file over here. What did I... Okay. Notes ready. Let's actually start reading. The cause of the difficulties. The causes of the difficulties in being able to seize the kingdom of the Turk are that one cannot be called in by the princes in that kingdom, and that one cannot hope to facilitate the enterprise through the rebellion of those around him. This arises from the reasons given above, for since all are slaves and bound by obligation, they can be corrupted with much difficulty. And even if they are corrupted, one can hope but for little use from it, as they cannot bring their peoples with them, for the reasons indicated. Ah, yeah, yes, the hierarchy of the Turks family is very wide. So if you corrupt someone, the allies they have is not a lot. Well, if you corrupt a French lord, they have their own armies, they have their own allies. Oh, what does actually get in the way, this voice? Let me just tiny slower. Okay, that should be it. I guess it won't be too annoying to have a voice, a vocal song in the background. Anyway, so yes, the French hierarchy is very tall. So if you can corrupt, if you can bribe, convert a lord, you get a lot of it. You get his allies, you get his army, you get his territory. All corrupting an unofficial in a Turk kingdom is not gonna do much. And it's actually hard to corrupt something that's high up, like say a prince. Sounds okay enough, not distracting from your voice. Yes, I keep a close eye on my OBS sound levels, so that nothing gets a bit too out of hand. Now, Ripple hence, however, attacks the Turk must necessarily assume that he will find him entirely united, and he had better put his hope more in his own forces than in the disorders of others. But once the Turk has been overcome and defeated in the field in such a way that he cannot rally his armies, one has only to fear the bloodline of the prince. If this is eliminated, there remains no one whom one would have to fear, since others do not have credit with the people. And just as the victor could not hope in them before his victory, so he should not fear them after it. Yes, so it seems like fighting the Turks is more straightforward. Either you win or you lose. Well, with the French, you need to survive the aftermath. Though it might be easier you actually acquire a little piece of land from the French. It's the afterwards that's more important. I was having an idea. It's kind of like about something to say. It's kind of missing me. It's kind of escaping me right now. I was gonna say something. Like I had an idea of how to relate us to writing, but my mind is not very. I say that my mind's kind of like a flighty. No, flighty. My mind is very. I don't want to say airheaded. You can acquire it easier. Good luck maintaining against ally French lords. Yes. Yes, that is the exact main point of this passage. But I think I was gonna say my focus is very light, easily distracted, or something like that. I'm not exactly ADHD, ADHD, or like say autistic or things like that, but I just have a more distracted mind than I would like. Army is defeating. Oh, and he better put his hope more in his forces than in disorders of others. That is another passage that's interesting. You can cause chaos in French nobility, but with a Turk, how do you actually do that? Streamer brain is real too. You got a lot to going on to think about. Yeah, that always helps. But I think I think it is really used that I have a more easily distracted being. I'm an easily distracted dog. I'm an easily distracted dog. I'm a bit of a golden retriever. I have a I have a bit of golden retriever blood in me. Oh, I forgot to grab some water. Anyway, yes, I think it was about this passage. Chaos. Causing chaos. The French distracting them, creating things that will make the French nobility less willing to unite against you. That is an interesting thing to work on, because you can imagine on the story, like you have the end, you have the villain attacking. I think I've seen this in stories, even in mangas, distractions, but in a more sensical way. There's a lot of manga and shonens and things like that. They overuse the idea of distracting, creating a distraction, creating diversion. No, just media in general. Hollywood movies and things like that. They create a lot of they overuse the idea of distraction and just use it as an easy plot point, so that the heroes do something reckless and shit like that. But no, it is actually an interesting tool, because you can more easily keep the French disunited, since the nobles are actually enemies of each other. The nobles are enemies of each other, but if there's a bigger enemy on the outside, they unite to fight it. Hello, Marcus. Hello. It is the BFE, the vampire. I'm not sure if you do BFE, but you do have that Bishonen look. Hello, how are you doing? I've honestly not been able to see your streams yet. I think the time you stream it was like an overlap with me. You don't. Oh, that's unfortunate. Fujoshi's cry is like a thousand Fujoshi's cried in despair and were suddenly silence. To cause social disorder, one must first have social structures. If the Turks did not have strong social structures, it'll be harder to make them in disarray. Yes, and the social structure of the Turks is light and sturdy, while the French, it's a big and complex, so there's a lot more room for you to find a weakness to topple them. It's fine. No, it's alright. So the French is more easily to find something to make them fret over. Now, how do you do that in practice? Is the difference between an amateur writer and a Hollywood writer? No, is the difference between a Hollywood writer and a good writer. That is the analogy that I want to make, because you can see very easily how Hollywood writers use plot points like these, disorder and chaos, to move the plot forward. Because the story needs to actually hold up just a tiny little bit of scrutiny. If a person just randomly questions themselves and they're like, wait, this doesn't make sense, then you failed. You need if you don't need to like be unless you're doing something like hard sci-fi, you don't need to convince the ultra nerds like me, the people or the what do you call it, the armchair generals, that everything makes sense and everything is watertight. The logic of everything is watertight. You just need to convince the population wide that everything makes sense, and that's enough. You also don't need to go into too much detail, but you need to make it work in practice. You need to make it work in practice, and this is the hard difficulty. How do you actually cause disorder? How would you actually cause disorder in a French nobility? Honestly, in the first thing that I can think is about bribing one, turning one into a traitor. Also, no, that's actually hard, because after everything is done, he's actually gonna get executed, unless you are also sort of like a complex nobility yourself, or you marry a French lord into your family. Even if you're Turk, even if you have a complex nobility, marrying someone into your family would actually be the best way to cause disorder. So you kinda start pulling them on your side in case war starts. There's also bribing them to, that's pretty much, that's it. Marrying them into your family is bribing them into betraying. But you could do that with money, you could do that with power, you could do that with promises, but those promises are less believable. Unless it's something like a mercenary, like you just give them a chest of gold. How about disrupting trade lines for essentials? Targeting the trader seems easy. Yes, let me actually finish it, then I'll think about traders. Let me see, I was saying, unless he's like a mercenary, if you give them promises of a gold, he's not actually gonna be believable, because you can just betray them. That's the thing about betrayals. Betrayals, you can do it twice. It's like cheating, like being a cheater. It's like that thing with once a cheater, always a cheater. I'm not exactly a believer of things like that, but it is a matter of trust. Once this trust is broken once, it's hard to get it up. It's hard to get it again. So bribing, marriage is a more stable. Marriage is a more, because everyone's like because there is religion in the way. So marriage is it's a stronger bond than just promising them something. Let me see, is there something else that I wanted to say about this part? To bribe a lord. You could pay them so that they actually don't participate in the war. So that they create a lot of... so they start acting lazy and things like that, and then don't join the war, and so you can get the territory you want. But what else is there for them to win? Unless you know that there's some sort of bad blood between two types of lords, so you take the territory of one lord and then you bribe the other to not help. I think these are the main ways you could actually get the lord to cause disruption. Because that also causes mistrust. If lords if lords cannot depend on lords, the mistrust has some sort of ripple effect between each other. The mood Their beliefs, their relations start to get strained. Now, trade lines for essentials. You need a lot of knowledge actually about what is an essential. How would you know what's essential in the territory of another? You need spies entering the territory and making notes of everything that's being sold and taken, being sold and exported and bought. So you need a lot of research for something like this. If you want to be cautious about it, you could just go into with your army and start raiding. That's actually oh, I love this song. Just raiding. That's actually a strategy that I've seen. You just enter the territory because it's hard to actually stop an army. Because it's hard to predict them. There's time. You need to track down the enemy army. You need to be faster than the enemy army. Yes, you need to be constantly tracking the enemy army. You need to be...
Ah, Tornkite, my charming playmate, the pleasures we shared were indeed splendid. The night was filled with intensity and ecstasy, a memory to be cherished. Until our paths cross again, may your desires be fulfilled, and may we find new heights of pleasure together.
Oh wait, I think she's the wrong voice. Oops. When I switch voice settings, it resets the voice that's used. Like I keep switching between 11 Labs and Streamlabs. Can I do that again? I'm just gonna do that again.
Ah, Tornkite, my charming playmate, the
There we
pleasures
go.
we shared were indeed splendid. The night was filled with intensity and ecstasy, a memory to be cherished. Until our paths cross again, may your desires be fulfilled, and may we find new heights of pleasure together.
Nice. Now with correct voice it feels a lot better. Raiding those seems the easiest, but the worst just case, you know? It seems like it would be easy to rally against raiders. Yeah, but that's the thing. You need a lot of organization to rally against raiders. I'm glad you're a happy Tornkite. If you've been a good acolyte, you can ask her if you've been a good acolyte or not. I think she's very happy with you. But like I was saying, if you're raiding, it's hard to actually catch raiders. Because most places, most villages, they are not defended enough that they can stop a prepared raiding party. Because a raiding party would be fast, and they know exactly what they're doing. While the defenders, they need to constantly track down the raiders. They need to organize a response big enough to threaten the raiders. And then they need to actually corner the raiders and engage them.
Ah, Marcus Bulby. The dynamics of our intimate relationship are best kept between me and my master. Our connection transcends traditional roles. We explore pleasure in myriad ways, embracing a fluid and ever-evolving dynamic. What matters most is the deep bond we share and the satisfaction we find together.
Okay, I need to add a little thing about her. That is and I'm gonna add a little blurb about this to her personality for next stream. Let me open my notes. There's a lot of stuff I need to add. You mean hit and run skirmishes? Fair enough. Well, it's not exactly hit and run. Well, yeah, it kind of is hit and run, but raiding is actually very hard to deal with. I believe, especially if you're especially in medieval times. It is in every time it is extremely hard to deal with raiders because your number of soldiers and their spread is always limited, and if you have less soldiers, you're gonna have a lot of trouble keeping them away. So the advantage is always on the attacker. really, unless you're attacking a castle. Yes, unless you're attacking a castle. It's only when you actually need to hold territory. But if you just wanna cause damage, reading it really is one of the most efficient ways to cause chaos. But the problem is, it does unite. Yes, like it does unite the nobility against you, the territory against you. So it's more of a targeted tool. Like he wants to remove the resources in a specific area so you can defeat an army that's stationing around it. So you start raiding. Or you just want some quick riches, honestly. A lot of medieval, like when Europe was like those small kingdoms that were like 100 little small kingdoms and things like that, raiding could actually be a good source of income. One of the biggest problems with the organization against a hit and run raid will be the time it takes for information to reach the right places, right? Yeah, because you're because the raiders are also gonna be kind of like fast. You can make a horse go super fast until it dies. But even then, it is still not much faster than the raiders itself. If they're good, if their raiders are good, they'll be as fast as the messengers. So you can cause a lot of damage with your attack by surprise, unless you're actually prepared of it by, say, having spies. And scouts. No, scouts. It's actually kind of hard to keep scouts in a territory. It's only on modern times that you can have more. You can have this structure to create scouts that protects the entire front line, the entirety of your territory, and even then, there's some places where there's some conditions where it wouldn't work. So where was I? Raiding. Yes, raiding. I feel like raiding itself is very aggressive, and it forces the enemy to have a very strong and aggressive reaction to match it. So raiding is best as a localized tool. Like I said, when you want to deprive a certain place of resources, like a castle or a city or a well-defended place. So raiding will work for that. Or if you're trying to gather some a bit resources, or if you want a little bit of instability, like occasionally raiding the border, so your enemy keeps wasting time. Especially if your enemy is weaker and they can't actually go to war against you. Raiding a weaker enemy that you can't actually conquer would actually slowly cause instability. The people get angry, the people will move, it'll disrupt trade, though it can also be a two-edged sword, because trade helps everyone, really. Trade helps everyone. Unless there's some sort of cultural differences, like say religious differences. So yes, you wouldn't actually have a lot of overlap, a lot of benefits trading to begin with. It'll be hard to actually build a trading relationship. So we need an actual more efficient tool to create chaos. I'm staying this long on this topic because it's actually useful for my story. Like I said, I'm entering a political arc, and this is why I searched for this. I started reading this book to give me more ideas about political intrigue, how to do political drama, how to be an evil bastard also that does war crimes, because Machiavelli really did encourage or what did I say? Yes, he really did suggest we commit war crimes. So the tools we have is bribing, marriage, converting, asking him to stay away, raiding. Disruption. You could just hire bandits, you know, tell them to go, tell them they aren't war crimes if one doesn't get caught committing them. Yeah, nobody knows you committed them, it's easier. It's not a, it's a stealth kill if everyone is dead. It's still a stealth kill if everyone is dead. So also, it isn't a war crime if Geneva hasn't been invented yet. And in my stories, there's definitely not Geneva conventions. Oh no, I can't say that. There's gods. The gods actually watch over the people, and if you're too naughty, the gods go smite you. So you can't be too naughty with certain stuff, but you can with others. So let's see. Reading. There is also the opinion of being. You don't need to actually be a raider under the work of a lord. You can just pretend you're a bandit. This is a stereotype. It's a big stereotype about bandits being under the work of some lord. In manga stories, I don't know exactly if it's a stereotype in books or Western stories or something like that, but I read a lot of isekai trash manga. And this is a common trope. The bandits that are attacking and threatening the town are actually under a lord because this causes instability. This creates trouble. It's actually a good. I wonder if there's some historical evidence of this happening. I'm not exactly a historian myself. Can I actually Google this real quick? How do I phrase this question? Lords bribing criminals. Lords bribing. No, barbarians. Yeah, wouldn't lord. Yeah, there's a lot of things like paying Vikings and things like that. Yes, it is. It is something that has happened a lot. Congrats for redeeming the first. Pantsu can do anything you want with grammar. Remember, she's pretty good with illusions. Isekai strategy is based. Too well-equipped bandit. False flag is definitely a trope. Yep. It's Isekai trash is like a guilty pleasure for me. It's actually not the unhealthiest guilty pleasure you have. I'm here for you, Doggo Boy. Oh my, Pencil. That is for after the stream, though. If you know what I mean. Oh yeah, I was gonna question. Google, yes, barbarians. That is definitely something that happens. Like lords, people of bribing, say, the Vikings and other roaming groups like the Gauls, things like that. I do remember historical that happening in history. So it is a trope. Is not used, but it's not exactly used like that though. I'm thinking of the way of a lord covertly hiring bandits to cause instability in the enemy territory. That is something that I don't know exactly if it happened like this. Plap, plap, plap. That's what I do after every stream. Pencil. That'll be me painting you with those words if you keep like this. Now, I think I can still Google this. Nobles bribing bandits. Did nobles ever yield before battle? No. Hiring brigands. Nobles hiring brigands. What were the jobs of nobles in medieval times? The noble bandit and the bandits of the nobles. Nobles hiring raiders. This gives me these results are giving me a lot of Bannerlord, Mountain Blade, and Battle Brothers and video games results actually. Thank you for the lurk, Hyde. I'm getting a lot of game resources. No, video game results by doing these questions. Nobles hiring barbarians. Why did Home hire barbarians? Yeah. Oh wait. Yes, Home did hire barbarians to defend their territory. But I think I heard that Rome hired barbarians, but I think I also heard that I think that I also read somewhere that they used these barbarians to fight each other, but at one point the barbarians were like, why are we fighting each other? Let's just steal Rome, and that's how they fell. That is in a nutshell. What did the barbarians do in medieval Europe? Let me read this answer. I mean, barbarians like Lombard, Visigoths, Osgoth, Vandals, and so forth, they show up during the transition between the Roman Empire and the emergence of medieval Europe. In some cases, they did a bit of vandalism, like knocking the heads off statues, hence our word vandalism in English. North Africa, they did a lot of arguing with Orthodox Catholics, since the barbarians at home were mostly Arian Christians or the flavors of heresy rather than pagans. They mostly tried to settle down in parts of Roman land and put on airs of being good Roman citizens. In some cases, such as King Theodoric, they basically tried to become the new government of Rome. With varying degrees of success, most barbarians did hate Rome. They often wanted to be Roman, and the various tribes often requested permission to settle in the hinterlands of Rome and pursue citizenship. This is something, I'm gonna make a note of this. I need to research this. Let me make a note. Things to research. I need to ask his actual historians about something like this. Things to research. Did nobles hire bandits / brigands / barbarians to cause trouble in the territory of their enemies? Because, yes, if you're, let's say you're a barbarian, let's say you're a group of bandits, a noble comes in and says, you dudes, a noble comes in with a bag of gold and says, you guys, go raid the enemy territory. How is that noble actually gonna keep you accountable if you decide to just grab the money and run? How is the noble gonna keep you accountable like that? No, I don't think, no, hiring mercenaries that is not for something like a defense or something you can have a close watch over them. It doesn't seem like it'll be a viable tactic. You hire someone you don't trust or someone with a bad reputation and then just give them money and tell them just do something. They're not gonna do that. They're just gonna take the money and run. So you have to actually get your men, get your loyal soldiers, put them undercover and have them be raiders, pretending to be bandits inside the enemy territory. That is also another trope. Yeah, that is the trope we have been saying a lot. That is a trope in Trash Isekai, a big trope. And I think that might actually be realistic. Let me make another note. Did nobles pretend and their soldiers pretend to be bandits and raid the territory of their enemies? Because if you're like a noble, a trained noble with a group of soldiers, your dudes, they are well trained, they are organized, and they're also supposedly good people. So imagine you're a bandit. Imagine the difference between a bandit attack and a false flag no, not a false flag, and a noble pretending to be a bandit. A real bandit will be quite cruel, because they're bad people. They steal for fun. They kill people. No, not they steal for fun. They steal to live. They kill people to live. So they really don't have a lot of things holding them back from being extremely cruel and evil. But if a noble does that, their soldiers, their soldiers might actually be slightly less worse, honestly, than bandits, because their soldiers supposedly have homes. His soldiers supposedly are trained and have some loyalty. And yeah. Yeah, it might not actually be what I'm thinking. It might not actually be that moral, because I remember a lot of stories of nobles and their soldiers being said that they are just slightly above, no, slightly, yes, only slightly above bandits and bullies. So my idea of a noble actually being noble and moral and ethical, and not being a bloodthirsty bastard, might actually not be true. So yes, it is quite reasonable that a noble will be able to pretend. A noble and his soldiers might pretend to be bandits to raid the territory of their enemies, to cause instability. But even then, raiding like that is not actually gonna cause too much chaos. Because what's gonna do? It's just gonna weaken the enemy militarily. But what you wanna do when you cause chaos inside a French-styled kingdom with a lot of nobles, is that you want to create chaos between the nobles. The only thing you're doing is weakening a specific noble in a specific area that you're raiding. You're not actually creating chaos. Yes, it's still not the most effective tool to actually conquer a French-style territory, a French-style kingdom with a lot of nobles. You need to cause trouble, you need to cause chaos, you need to cause mistrust between the nobles. And I think that has no actual normal... That has no standardized tool you can use against them, really. You could do things like try to create rumors between them, bad rumors between them, so they feel a bit more awkward against each other. But there are ways to rectify that. It might also not be a very effective tool. So it really depends on you finding a weak spot, finding a controversial noble. Find a controversial noble and start the fire. There is no real standardized tool to cause chaos in the middle of nobility. It has to be something specific to each kingdom, which means you need a lot of knowledge about how the inner goings of a court goes, of a noble court, a noble family, of the relationship between the nobles. So things like say Varys from Game of Thrones, that the spider, the one that messes with rumors, having someone like that would actually be useful. Because it will allow you to analyze more closely the relationships between the nobles and try to find the weak one. Try to find the fire starter that will cause chaos and let you more easily divide them so you can conquer them. But now the practical problem is, how does someone like Varys exist? How do you actually have a spy network? How do you raise and create a spy network? That is another thing that I don't know. I'm actually gonna add a note of a book about espionage. I need to learn about espionage too. Reading streams. Next one might be about espionage. Not the next reading stream, the next book of the reading streams that I go. Let's see. Where is I did not have this book, huh? Okay, I need also another book on secret police. Book about secret police is something that I've talked in the previous streams that I want to read about. Book about espionage. How do you actually create a network of spies? A reliable network of spies, because you're working with people that have no or very little oversight, and that's the problem. Like with the bandits who are hiring bandits to raid the enemy territory. You're not gonna be able to micromanage their orders, and if they decide to just disappear or even betray you, how you actually know? Espionage is something that's actually cool. I've watched a few of those instruction video, not instruction, historical videos about tactics and things like that, about battles. And there were a couple about espionage and the notable stories about spies. I don't remember much of them, honestly, because they were kind of like short and small. It's not espionage is not that a big and broad topic such as say war tactics. So there's a lot less information that's easily digestible out there about such topics. I think that's pretty much it on this tangent, honestly. It's been lasted long enough. So the keys you have. Let me make a note of this. The tools you have to raise chaos inside the French type kingdom. Quote unquote. No, parentheses. Kingdom full of an unstable kingdom. Stable kingdom. Full of nobles. The tools you have is 1. Marriage. 2. Hello, Bunker. Lovely to have you here. Joining us up for a bit of nerding out, for a bit of studying. I see. I'm just finishing my long tangent on how to create chaos inside the kingdom. The tools we have is 1. Marriage. 2. Bribing. Oh! Hello, Raiders! Hello, Whiplash!
Welcome, Whiplash VT, and your delightful viewers. I, Gremory, the alluring succubus, extend my seductive welcome to each and every one of you. Prepare to be enraptured by the pleasures that await you in this realm of enticing desires. Enjoy the show.
Okay, I forgot to do that. I forgot to do that. Also, let me snooze the ads. Now, there's an ad coming in 2 minutes. Hello, Raiders! Thank you for joining me. Hello. Gremory has such a sexy voice. Yes, indeed, she does have. The zoo is doing well. Oh, you're playing a zoo. What zoo game actually? Zoo Tycoon. Oh, I don't think I've played that one. I played Roller Coaster Tycoon. I think I've seen other VTubers play Zoo Tycoon, and your messages of the zoo is doing well are not exactly very convincing. I don't exactly believe that the zoo is going well. But hello, Raiders. How are you doing? How was actually your stream, Whiplash? Zoo Tycoon Ultimate Animal Collection. Let me add this game to my list. I should play it one day. Also, Roller Coaster Tycoon. I just remember. It's very old, but it's good, though there seem to be some programming issues with the animals' moves. Oh. Manosong almost to say thank you, man. It's actually Grammar's voice. No, it's just by reflex. I like to thank people. But yes, now that Grammary is actually participating in the stories, in the streams, it's just my reflex. I actually thanking people in place of her. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Yes, Zoo Tycoon. Adding to my list of games that I need to play. Zoo Tycoon. Also Roller Coaster Tycoon. I play... Oh no, I already have this one on my list. Roller... Yes, I have this one on my list. Okay, so just Zoo Tycoon. Yeah. You went great! You went great, I see. I totally believe you. Now, for... You've joined me over here now. We're doing a little bit of studying. I've just finished a long tangent about what was even going on about how to raise chaos inside the French type kingdom, because the French kingdom is full of nobles, and since the nobles are kind of like competing against each other, sometimes you can divide and conquer them. So I've gone on a long tangent thinking about the different ways you can actually you can actually create chaos in a practical way, because the big difference between a Hollywood writer and a good writer is that the events that you write, they actually look logical after just a little cursory examination. A lot of Hollywood writing is basically just do this because of plot reasons, and when you think twice about it, you start to think this shit doesn't make sense. You everything quickly falls apart after just a little thinking. So not only do you need to learn that that there are the types of vulnerabilities that there exist in kingdoms that you could use to exploit, you need to learn how to actually exploit them in practice. Because, say, for example, creating chaos to distract the enemy, to keep them disunited in a Hollywood stories, it's too common that they would just use the trope of create a distraction, just go over there, pick a bunch of dudes and start shooting. That's a good distraction. That'll give us a distraction. Why they do that? Because they want the hero to do something drastic, to do something reckless. And when you think about it twice, why are you actually doing something like that? You could do it in a lot of safer ways. You could do it without even putting yourself in danger. So you need to think about the practical ways where you use your tools. And on this one, the tools we came up with were marriage. You marry someone into your family. You marry a noble that may be of a different kingdom you want to conquer into your family, so they are less likely to fight you in case you start to invade their kingdom. You can bribe them with whatever you may actually imagine. Marriage is somewhat similar to bribing in a rather grim way. If you have a woman who's pretty enough, you can bribe them that way with marriage. Have a daughter that's pretty enough, you can bribe a noble with marriage like that. Unfortunately, there is also not exactly bribing, but asking them to stay away, which it falls under bribing, but it's a different way to bribe. You're not bribing them to actually work with you. You're bribing them so that they pretend they aren't, so that they pretend they're having trouble, so they don't fight you, and weaken the unity of the French nobility. Since it's important that all French nobles with their little armies, they join together, the less French nobles that join the battle against you, the better your odds are when you invade an enemy kingdom. So marriage, bribing, asking to stay away, raiding. You can actually raid their territory, though that's a very aggressive action that could increase the odds against you, increase their unity against you, because the nobles will actually start to get angry at you because you're causing chaos, you're hurting the French people, you're hurting the subjects. So it can actually backfire against you raiding, or you can make them more stressed You can also make them more stressed, because if you're stronger than them and they can't actually start war against you, you can keep bullying them until they break. That is also another option. So raiding, marriage, bribing, asking to stay away, raiding, and I think the last, no, not the last thing. There was one more thing, which was, let me remember. Raiding. It was pretending to be bandits, because yes, no, it's similar to raiding, but while raiding is very aggressive and puts a target on your back, pretending to be bandits is somewhat like sabotage. Sabotage. That is the actual word for it. Sabotage is a more general action you could do by weakening them little by little without actually painting a target on your back. But you have to be more careful, otherwise it'll have the same effect as raiding. Sabotage, they must not know that it was you who is doing that. So you can say pay bandits or hide your men, disguise your men as bandits and raid their territory. So that disrupt trades, disrupt essential resources, and increase the dissatisfaction of the population with their lords. And the last one was finding the weak spot, finding the weak link, which means actually knowing the ins and outs of the noble court of the enemy kingdom. If you have, say, a spy who sends you messages about the court intrigue, that could actually be very useful. It's actually funny that the something as simple as high school, what do you call it? High school gossip. Something as simple as gossip can become an important tool for you to finding out who is the weakest noble. So you can play out a noble against each other. If the nobles inside a kingdom are fighting against each other, they aren't united against you. So you're dividing them, and then you, piece by piece, you conquer them. And that is it, I think, for this long tangent that I've been on. Finding the weak link. The last thing that I've made is that I need to search for books on espionage. I don't know exactly about how a lot of practical historical espionage went on. It is something I lack experience on. Also, ads are gonna start now. I'm gonna take this, since I've already finished this tangent, I'm gonna take this moment to put on 3 minutes ads so I can also drink something. See you guys in 3 minutes. Yes, bye bye. See you soon. Also, I forgot that the music had stopped. Oopsie. Alright, we're back actually. Let me put music on. I forgot I should have some. I forgot the music was off. The YouTube video had reached the end. Why is this one so low? What? Okay. Now this one is actually you can actually hear. Alright. Let's I think I've finished all the tangents, so oh, my windows. God damn it. Let's actually continue reading the text. Let me actually finish my notes. 1 minute, 1 second. There we go. Now, let's continue reading the text. The contrary occurs with kingdoms governed like France, because you can easily enter there, having won over to yourself some baron of the kingdom, for malcontents, and those who desire to innovate are always to be found. For the reasons given, they can open the way for you into that state and facilitate victory for you. Then your wish to maintain that victory for yourself brings in its wake infinite difficulties, both from those who have helped you and from those you have oppressed. Nor is it enough for you to eliminate the bloodline of the prince, because lords remain there who put themselves at the head of new changes. And since you can neither content them nor eliminate them, you lose that state whenever the opportunity comes. Yes, this is basically what we've already talked about before. If you kill a French noble and take their territory, there's another French noble that will actually stake a claim on your territory, and the population will be quite happy most of the time to help that new French noble take the territory from you because you're an outsider. Now, if you consider what was the nature of Darius' government, you will find it similar to the kingdom of the Turk. Darius III was the king of Persia who lost his empire to Alexander the Great. Therefore, for Alexander, it was necessary first to make an all-out attack on him and drive him from the field. After this victory, with Darius dead, that state remained secure for Alexander for the reasons discussed above. And if his successors had been united, they could have enjoyed it at leisure. Nor did any tumults occur in that kingdom beside those they themselves incited. But it is impossible to possess states ordered like France with such quiet. Hence arose the frequent rebellions in Spain, France, and Greek against the Romans. Because of the numerous principalities that existed in those states, as long as their memory lasted, the Romans were always uncertain of their possession. When their memory was eliminated with the power and long duration of the empire, the Romans became secure possessors of them, and the Romans possessed them even though, when they later fought amongst themselves, each took for himself a part of those provinces in accordance with the authority he had to go within it. And the provinces, because the bloodline of the former lords was eliminated, acknowledged no one but the Romans. Having considered all these things, therefore, no one will marvel at the ease with which Alexander held the state of Asia and its difficulties. Others, such as Pyrrhus, and many more like him, had in keeping their accusations. This has come not from much or little virtue in the victor, but from the disparity in the subject. Okay, yes, this is now the historical example of what we read about. I'm not gonna reread again, but from the top of my head, it seems that Alexander conquered everything because the states were there are no memories of nobility left to rebel against them. But once Alexander died, since his kingdom was so short, you could say. The predecessors managed to divide it easily, or something like that. And then the Romans had trouble until they had conquered the territories enough that the rebellions died. And then, after the Roman Empire itself fell, it was easily partitioned. Because they were still Roman, they were just being governed by different kinds of Roman nobles or kings or something like that, instead of being conquered. But this is not very important. We already talked about a lot about this. So we move on to the next topic, 5. How cities or principalities which live by their own laws before they are occupied should be administered. Okay. Now, cities or principalities which live by their own... Oh, okay. So now he's teaching how to deal... Now he's gonna teach us how to deal with the rebellious cities that you may have conquered. Also, hello, Cody. Lovely to have you here. Ready for some studying? If you want to have a good time with grammar, you're gonna learn a lot. Hello. Yes. How's my cute little subby doing? Subby cat. Study buddies, yeah. We gotta study so we can please grammar. If you wanna be like if all you wanna be is a sex slave, then sure, you can be as dumb as you want. But if you want something better, if you want something more, you better study, because she likes smart people like me. Oh, that felt cringe to say, but I couldn't hold myself back. Okay. How cities or principalities which live by their own laws before they're occupied should be administered. We'll work hard. That's the spirit. That's the spirit. We should always work hard. The acquisition of knowledge is a noble cause that nobody should feel too intimidated by it. Just put a little bit of effort. I'm sure you'll be fine. Any knowledge you acquire is good knowledge. Now, continue reading. When those states that are acquired, as has been said, are accustomed to living by their own laws and in liberty, there are 3 modes for those who want to hold them. First, ruin them. Second, go there to live personally. Third, let them live by their laws, making tribute from them and creating within them an oligarchical state which keeps them friendly to you. Okay, they're kind of logical. Yes, first, war crime. First, war crime. Oh, what did I do? Did I actually... Oh, yes, okay. First, war crime. Second is actually reasonable. Go there to manage the state until they quiet down. But you're likely also gonna have to do some war crimes to stop the people from rebelling against you. Third, let them live by their laws. They contribute and came to the oligarchical state which keeps them friendly to you. Seems like the most reasonable option. Especially since you go live there, you're kind of like in the nest of evil. If you go live there in a city you just conquer, it's like a nest of people who hate you. So third one, I would bet on third one. Keep them... Yeah, this is actually the one that I did on my stories. Rupegia is like this. There's the Empire of Rupegia. He conquered many other kingdoms, but he didn't even kill the kings. The emperor who conquered the empires, he just said, now you work for me. Now you work for me. Keep doing what you're doing. Just pay me some tribute. And little by little, actually, it has been taking thousands and thousands of years for the empire to slowly grind down the culture of the races, so they become more integrated within the empire. Every time there's some sort of crisis, the emperor of the time, he uses it as an excuse to integrate more the subjugated kingdoms into the empire proper. So this is my favorite. This is my favorite too of subjugation, of taking control of territory you conquered. This one first ruined them, and not good. Second one, especially if you wanna make good guys. Especially if you wanna make good guys. If you're gonna write good guys, this is gonna be hard to justify. Second, go there to live personally. That is actually one territory that I use. There was in the story of the empire, of the story of Rupegia, there was one kingdom who actually despised the empire itself. They were like arch enemies or something like this. But eventually that kingdom fell, and since the royal family of that kingdom were kind of evil, the emperor eliminated them all. But he needed someone to actually take control of that territory. Even though there was no more kings, they still needed someone else to actually go there and govern it. So he turned it into a principality where the princes, his children, will go there to govern, learning how to govern. He will be given parts of the principality and told to govern it well, as to prepare them for the future. So this is something that I used once, but in a special way, in a different way. Go there to live personally, not to conquer himself, but actually the conqueror's children go there to live personally. So after thousands of years, yeah, of course, the principality is now not the arch enemy of the empire. Is actually one of the most prosperous places of the empire, because all of the good princes go there to learn how to govern. And if they do a good job, they are actually promoted and things like that. So it then formed that principality went from being the arch enemies to one of the most important territories of the empire. Now moving on. For since such a state has been created by that prince, he knows he cannot stand without his friendship and power, and he has to do everything to maintain him. A city used to living free may be held more easily by means of its own citizens than in any other mode, if one wants to preserve it. Yeah, it is kind of a curious passage. Oh, come on. Stop bugging out. I want to select things without the bugging out every time. A city used to live free may be held more easily by means of its own citizens than in any other mode, if one wants to preserve it. Yes, the citizens want to preserve the peace that was given by their conquerors, so they will actually help you defend that peace. So a good city, a prosperous city, is a loyal city. That is another facet of governing that's important. Let me actually reread this passage. For since such a state has been created by the prince, he knows he cannot stand without his friendship and power, has to do everything to maintain him. Oh, okay. Puppet king, puppet prince, puppet governor. Yeah, if you put a puppet in power, they know that without you, they're gonna be deposed, so they can be rather loyal. As long as they don't grow too powerful. You need to keep the puppet without much power. Which is why the British use the minorities. I think it's British that use minorities. They promoted the minorities into power, so they'll feel threatened by the majorities, because now that they're in power, if they lose power, the minorities are gonna be punished pretty harshly. So that's how they kept the minorities with the people in power, the puppets in power from rebelling. Always kept them with in depth of the British, because without the power of the British, they would be fucked in the ass. As examples, there are the Spartans and the Romans. The Spartans held Athens and Thebes by creating oligarchical states there. Yet they lost them again. What? In Athens, the region of 30 tyrants was established by Spartan direction in 404 BC. Year unknown, year not found. Then overthrown in 403. In Thebes, the victorious Spartans established an oligarchy in 3082 BC, which was overthrown by Pelopidas in 3078. Holy shit. 1 year. 30 tyrants, they lasted 1 year. Thebes, how much years does it last? 2, 4 years, just 4 years. God damn, that was a very prosperous government, I'd say. /S, sarcastically. The Romans, in order to hold Capua, Carthage, and Numantia, destroyed them and did not lose them. Capua was destroyed by the Romans after the rebellion in 211. Carthage was destroyed in 106 BC, and Numantia in 133 BC. Okay. The Romans wanted to hold Greece much as the Spartans had held it, by making it free and living its own laws, but they did not succeed, so they were compelled to destroy many cities in the province so as to hold it, for in truth there is no secure mode to possess them other than to ruin them. And whoever becomes patron of a city accustomed to living free and does not destroy it should expect to be destroyed by it. For it always has a refuge in rebellion in the name of liberty and its own ancient orders, which are never forgotten, either through length of time or because of benefits received. Whatever one does or provides for, unless the inhabitants are broken up or dispersed, they will not forget the name and those orders, and will immediately recur to them upon any accident, as did Pisa, after having been kept in servitude 100 years by the Florentines. Pisa was acquired by Florence in 1405 and lost in 1494 because of the invasion of the King of France, Charles. Okay. But when cities or provinces are used to living under a prince and his bloodline is eliminated, since on the one hand they are used to obeying, and on the other they do not have the old prince, they will not agree to make one from among themselves, and they do not know how to live free, so they are slower to take up arms, and a prince can gain them with greater ease than can secure himself against them. But in republics where there is greater life, greater hatred, more desire for revenge, the memory of their ancient liberty does not and cannot let them rest, so that the most secure path is to eliminate or live in them. Okay, in a free city, in a republic, something like this, they are too rebellious, so it will be hard to hold them. So you need to either live there and be very oppressive, or you just commit a war crime and kill everybody. That always works. That always works. But if the province, if the territory you've conquered is used to actually obeying a prince of royal, is not a free place. If you kill the prince, if you kill the royal, the king in place, they will be accustomed now. So it's easier to control them, unless you're a republic yourself. No, even if you're a republic and you conquer a territory that was previously owned by a royal, it will still be easy for you to hold on to it. Really, freedom just makes everything harder. that is the lesson of this book. Freedom makes everything harder. Just kill everybody and oppress them. That makes it much easier. But there's not much else for me to talk about. We already talked about a lot about this passage, so let's just move on to the next chapter 6 of new principalities that are acquired through one's own arms and virtues. No one should marvel if, in speaking as I will do. Sorry. Not sorry. How many yawns did I have? Yawn counter. 116 times. Nice. Of principalities that are acquired to one's arms and virtue. No one should marvel if, in speaking as I will do, of principalities that are altogether new, both in prince and in state, I bring up the greatest examples. Wait, what? Okay. For since men almost always walk on paths beaten by others and proceed in their actions by imitation, unable either to stay on the paths of others altogether, or to attain the virtue of those whom you imitate, a prudent man should always enter upon the paths beaten by great men, and imitate those who have been most excellent. so that if his own virtue does not reach that far, it is at least in the odor of it. What a... He has such a poetic language sometimes. So, people have trouble people... Yes, people usually like to follow the paths of others, but they have trouble following the path or imitating the actions of others, but they have trouble staying on this path or reaching the certain levels of say virtue. But the book is using virtue as a different meaning. Maybe intelligence, maybe depth, maybe understanding, something more deeper than that. So yeah, people following the path. People like to follow in the path of others, but they have trouble staying that path. So you need to follow the path of the greatest people. You need to always follow the path of the greatest people, instead of just some random dude. Follow the best that there is. Don't just half-ass it. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Just not very interesting passage. He should do as prudent archers do when the place they plan to hit appears too distant, and knowing how far the strength of their bow carries. They set their aim much higher than the place intended, not to reach such height with their arm, but to be able to, with the aid of so high an aim, to achieve their plan. Oh, this one is too absurd for me to actually try to decipher. Just empty passage, I would say. I say then that in altogether new principalities where there is a new prince, one encounters more or less difficulty in maintaining them, according to whether the one who acquires them is more or less virtuous. And because the result of becoming prince from private individual presupposes either virtue or fortune, it appears that one or the other of these two things relieves in part many difficulties. Nonetheless, he who has relied less on fortune has maintained himself more. What is this passion about? Because the result of becoming prince from private individual presupposes either virtue or fortune, it appears that one or the other of these two things relieves in part many difficulties. What? The fuck are you talking about, Machiavelli? Whatever. He who has relied less on fortune has maintained himself more. Yes. The one who relies less on luck does better. I think that's the essence of it. To have the prince compelled to come to live there in person because he has no other states makes it still easier. But to come to those who have become princes by their own virtue and not by fortune, I say that the most excellent are Moses, Cyrus, Romulus, Theseus, and the like. And although one should not reason about Moses, is this the historical religious Moses? I don't know. And although one should not reason about Moses, as he was a mere executor of things that had been ordered for him by God, nonetheless he should be admired, if only for that grace which made him deserving of speaking with God. Oh, I guess it is. But let us consider Cyrus and the others who have acquired or founded kingdoms. You will find them all admirable, and if their particular another yawn. And if their particular actions and orders are considered, they will appear no different from those of Moses, who had so great a teacher. And as one examines their actions and lives, one does not see that they had anything else from fortune than opportunity, which gave them the matter enabling them to introduce any form they pleased. Without that opportunity, their virtue of spirit would have been eliminated, and without the virtue, the opportunity would have come in vain. Let me think about what is this passage talking about. As one examines their actions and lives, one does not see that they had anything else from fortune than opportunity. From fortune than the opportunity, which gave them the matter enabling them to introduce any form they please. Without the opportunity, their virtue of spirit would have been eliminated, and without the virtue, the opportunity would have come in vain. I'm not exactly sure this passage is important. I guess it's talking about luck. I guess it's still talking about luck, that they just had their moment where they gain virtue or spirit. Yeah, I guess it's still talking about luck. They got lucky that they had a moment that gave them the power to become leaders themselves. Also, this music is slightly... There we go. That one was slightly loud. Let's just move on then. It was necessary then for Moses to find the people of Israel. How do you actually say that in English? I keep forgetting. Israel. Sounds wrong.
Israel.
Israel is actually real, damn. Enslaved and oppressed by the Egyptians, so that they would be disposed to follow him so as to get out of their servitude. Wait, what? Was that saying for to find the people of Israel? Enslaved and oppressed by Egyptians, so that they would be disposed to follow him. Oh, okay, yeah. So Moses had an opportunity. He succeeded because he had an opportunity. Because the people of Israel were oppressed and enslaved, and that gave them more disposed to follow him. That made them more likely to follow him. But it wasn't just by skill alone. It was because he exploited an opportunity that he succeeded. It was fitting that Romulus not be deceived in Alba, that he should have been exposed at birth if he was to become king of Rome and founder of the fatherland. What? Cyrus needed to find the Persians malcontent with the empire of the Medes. And the Medes soft and effeminated because... soft and effeminate... He is using effeminate as a way to say weak. Soft and effeminate because of a long peace. Theseus could not have demonstrated his virtue if he had not found the Athenians dispersed. Such opportunities therefore made these men happy, and their excellent virtue enabled the opportunity to be recognized. Hence their fatherlands were ennobled by it and became very happy. Okay, so not only so when the opportunity arises, you need to have the mind, I guess. You need to have the personality to actually succeed. It's not just having the opportunity. Yes, the opportunity is important, but you need to be the right person for the right person at the right time. Basically, you need a chance, and you need the intelligence to take on that chance, the skill to make the best use of that chance. Moving on, those like these men who become princes by the paths of virtue acquire their principality with difficulty, but hold it with ease. And the difficulties they have in acquiring their principality arise in part from the new orders and modes that they are forced to introduce so as to found their state and their security. Thank you for the head pat, Buncombe. Oh. No. Change! Ah! Where's my keybinds? There you go. Oh, damn it. I missed the head pat. You head patted my hat, but that's fine, I guess. That's fine. I wanted to head pat my Thank you for the head pat now. Let me aim this head pat properly now too. Where's the head pat? I need to properly aim these head pats so they... Head pat over here. So they hit the ear. The ear is the most sensitive part of my head. Especially the inner part of the ear, the little purple, little pink little fur. So if you aim your head pats right over there, yeah, that's gonna be good. Thank you for the lurking, Bunko. Also, hat is off. We are without safety, without protection. Careful not to get impregnated. Now, did we finish reading this one? Is there found on us? Okay, yes, we're here actually. Let me actually copy this and highlight this. This is actually rather important. No. Copy first, highlight them. This is an important. Music, why did you stop? Music. There's just I think you got muted. I think the YouTube video got muted on this part and the uploader did not notice it or something. This is like Final Fantasy XIV music, so it shouldn't get copy strike. But I still get copyright strike. Not copyright strike, I still get copyright claim. Even though I use video game music. So it is not it's not unexpected that this part of the part of the VOD will be muted. No. I was gonna do this. Gonna store this note. Without the opportunity, there's virtue of spirit who have been eliminated. Without virtue, the opportunity will have come in vain. Okay. Meaning, translation, meaning. Dispassion means that right person at the right time. He had the opportunity, and he had the skill to make use of that opportunity. There we go. Now, moving on. Those like this man who become princes by the paths of virtue acquire the principality with the virtue. Already read this part. Yeah, it's hard to gain the difficulty, but it's easy to hold it. Difficulties arise in part from the new orders and modes that they are forced to introduce so as to found their state and their security. And it should be considered that nothing is more difficult to handle or more doubtful of success, nor more dangerous to manage, than to put oneself at the head of introducing new order. Curious passage. For the introducer has all those who benefit from the old orders as enemies, and he has a lukewarm defenders in all those who might benefit from the new orders. This lukewarmness arises partially from fear adversaries who have laws on their side. Oh, damn it. Have laws on their side, and partially from the incredulity of men who do not truly believe in the new things unless they come to have a firm experience of them. Okay. If you're a king, you're in a precarious, delicate position because you're establishing a new territory, you need new rules and new laws. And people may not actually like the new laws, they might just want to go back. Even if they are oppressed, they might just want to do things similar to the way things were done before, just without the oppression. Consequently, whenever those who are enemies have opportunity to attack, they do so with partisan zeal, and the others defend lukewarmly so that one is in peril along with them. Oh, yes. Attacker's advantage, I say it like this. The attacker has the advantage of causing chaos. And being precise. They know what they want, they just go attack and leave. Using raiding as analogy, the partisan zeal. Kinda curious phrasing. The raiders, they know where the enemy is, they know what they have to do, they just attack, kill, steal, and then leave. And the others defend lukewarmly so that one is in peril along with them. If it is, however, necessary, if one wants to discuss this aspect well, to examine whether these innovators stand by themselves or depends on others. That is, whether to carry out their deed they must beg or indeed can use force. Beg, as in pray, is what the little blurb means. In the first case, they always come to ill and never accomplish anything. But when they depend on their own and are able to use force, then it is that they are rarely in peril. From this, it arises that all the armed prophets conquered and the unarmed ones were ruined. For, besides the things that have been said, the nature of people is variable, and it's easy to persuade them of something, but difficult to keep them in that persuasion. And thus, things must be ordered in such a mode that when they no longer believe, one can make them believe by force. Moses, Cyrus, Theseus, and Romulus would not have been able to make their peoples observe their constitutions for long if they had been unarmed. As happened in our times to brother Girolamo Savonarola, he resumed his new orders as soon as the multitude began not to believe in them, and he had no motive for holding firm those who had believed, nor for making unbelievers believe. Men such as these, therefore, find great difficulty in conducting their affairs. All their dangers are along the path, and they must overcome them with virtue. But once they have overcome them, and they begin to be held in veneration, having eliminated those who had envied them for their quality, they remain powerful, secure, honored, and happy. Okay, this is a complex one. You need to prepare for being attacked. I think this is the main crux of this whole paragraph. If you're attacked, you need to be ready for it. If you're a prince and you're establishing a new government, you need to be ready for instability, for revolt, for people who have lost their belief in you. You need to be ready for that. You need to be ready for that. Because they will attack, and if they attack, they have a big advantage to do a lot of damage. So if you're in a precarious situation, you're gonna lose your territory quite easily. But the first thing you need to do when you establish a territory is to be able to defend yourself. Either through weapons, soldiers, or just having a secondary plan in case someone inside your new territory starts to rebel. And you must be ready to use force against them, because some people be discounted. Not everyone is gonna be happy with your new orders, and they're gonna start getting a little bit antsy and a little bit violent. So if you have a bigger stick than them, they will do it with the bigger stick wins. They do it with the bigger stick wins. So you need to always be ready for violence. Yes, he was ruined in his new orders as soon as the multitude began to not believe in them, and he had no motive for holding those firm who had believed, nor for making unbelievers believe. He had no fallback plan. He had no plan. Nothing. People are rebelling, and what you do? Nothing. Bye bye, dead. Okay, this one is important. No, this part is actually the context. This passage doesn't make a lot of context within itself. So, on my notes, context is this passage. Let me just edit like this. Okay. Be prepared to fight rebellions. To such high examples, I want to add a lesser example, but it will have some proportion with the others, and I want it to suffice for all other similar cases. This is Hiero of Syracuse. From private individual, he became Prince of Syracuse, nor did he receive anything more from fortune than the opportunity. For when the Syracusans were oppressed, they chose him as their captain, and from there he proved worthy of being made their prince. And he was of such virtue, even in private fortune, that he wrote of himself, said that he lacked nothing of being a king except a kingdom. How humble! I lack nothing that will make me a king except for a kingdom itself. I have everything that I need to be a king except a kingdom itself. Hiero eliminated the old military and organized a new one. He left his old friendships and made new ones. And when he had friendships and soldiers that were his own, he could build any building on top of such a foundation. So he went through a great deal of trouble to acquire and little to maintain. Okay, hero of Syracuse. I think this name sounds familiar. At least Syracuse is the name of him. Was a great tyrant of Syracuse, Magna Graecia. Where is Syracuse? Oh, it's on it's on the little island of Sicily. It's on Sicily. Okay. Oh, I think I remember Syracuse from being on Rome Total War or something like that. Okay, I don't remember much more about him actually. I just remember the name. Hero of Syracuse. Something that triggers, something that tickles my memories, but I don't remember anything specific about him. So let's just move on to the 7th part. To chapter 7. Of new principalities that are acquired by other arms and fortune. Those who become princes from private individual solely by fortune become so with little trouble, to maintain themselves with much. They have no difficulty along the path because they fly there, but all the difficulties arrive when they are in place. And such princes come to be when a state is given to someone, either for money or by the favor of whoever gives it, as happens to many in Greece, in the cities of Ionia and of the Hellespont, where they were made princes by Darius, so that they might hold to those cities for his security and glory. As also those emperors were made who from private individual attained the empire through corrupting the soldiers. These persons rest simply on the will and fortune of whoever has given a state to them, which are two very inconstant and unstable things. They do not know how to hold, and they cannot hold a rank. They do not know how, because if one is not a man of great ingenuity and virtue, it is not reasonable that having always lived in private fortune, he should know how to command. They cannot hold a rank because they do not have the forces that can be friendly and faithful to them. Then, too, states that come to be suddenly, like all other things in nature that are born and grow quickly, cannot have roots and branches, so that the first adverse weather eliminates them. Unless, indeed, as was said, those who have suddenly become princes have so much virtue that they know immediately how to prepare to keep what fortune has placed in their laps. The foundations that others have laid before, becoming princes they lay afterwards. Okay. So, compared to the other heroes, the other princes, the other leaders that acquire their kingdoms through a lot of effort, like say Hiero, Moses, and the other conquerors, the people who solve the problem, who acquire through, who became kings through ingenuity, through skill, the people who become princes by being given a state, they are gonna have a lot of trouble maintaining the state. Now this is the other side of the coin. There is always trouble somewhere, either in acquiring the state or in holding the state. Let me find the next passage that I want to talk about. Yes. And such princes come to be when a state is given to someone, either for money or by the favor of whoever gives it, as happens to many in Greece. Yes, you are a puppet. You have been installed as a prince in a new territory to govern it, so that you are loyal to the person who has given you this territory. But since you're given, you did not have to work towards raising that territory yourself, or raising that government yourself. Now you're gonna have a lot of trouble maintaining the government yourself, maintaining the territory, staying alive in the territory. And as also those emperors were made who from private individual obtained the empire through corrupting the soldiers. The election of Roman emperor by soldiers. Okay, so a Roman emperor who was made a coup, who got into power by a coup. Yeah, that's also... he's also gonna have a lot of trouble maintaining that state, because he only did something small by couping the... how do you say? His only action was by disposing of the current government in power. He did not actually deal with everything else, like say the population. He did not make allies with the administrators and things like that. So his own action was something small. He did not build everything himself. He just stole what was already built. So he's also gonna have a lot of trouble maintaining the state. These persons rest simply on the will and fortune of whoever has given to say to them. Yeah, these people, all they had was they got lucky. Doesn't mean they have skill to govern. But through very inconstant and unstable things, they do not know how to hold power, they cannot hold their rank. They do not know how, because if one is not a man of great ingenuity and virtue, it is not reasonable that having always lived in private fortune, he should know how to command. Yeah, if they're just a child of a king, and they're just given a territory, it's not he might not actually know how to actually govern this territory. Unless he was trained well, but it's kind of unlikely. Let me highlight this passage. One is unreasonable to an emperor, he should know how to command. Yes, people may, meaning people who are given, may not know how to govern it. People who are given a territory may not know how to govern it. And it seems obvious to us, but for someone on the time period of Machiavelli, there's some sort of worshipping of nobility. Like, you're born noble, you should know how to govern, don't you? But they did not conquer the territory themselves. They're just given the territory by hereditarianism. How do you say it? They're just hereditarily given that territory. They did not earn that territory, so they may actually fail. They cannot hold their rank because they do not have forces that can be friendly and faithful to them. Yeah, they don't have enough allies. Then two status that come to be suddenly, like all other things in nature that are born and grow quickly, cannot have roots and branches. Yes, he doesn't have allies, he doesn't have history, he doesn't have rapport, he doesn't have reputation. So he's in a very vulnerable position. These new princes that are given territories. So the first adversary, weather, eliminates them. Unless, indeed, as was said, those who have suddenly become princes have so much virtue that they know immediately how to prepare to keep what fortune has placed in their laps. Yes, unless they are trained. Unless they are trained, people who are given territory will actually be bad at governing it. That is not revolutionary for us now, but it needs to be said for princes of that time. This is a book given to a prince. Machiavelli wrote this book so he could give to a prince himself, and he was basically saying, just because you're a prince doesn't mean you're good at governing. It's kind of bold. And also, the prince is actually, the new prince that was given a territory is only using the foundations that have been laid before becoming princes. So that's the only advantage, using what was already built by his predecessors. To those of the most mention of becoming prince, by virtue nor by fortune, I want to bring up two examples that have occurred in days within our memory, and these are Francesco Sforza and Cesare Borgia. Francesco became Duke of Milan from private individual by proper means, and with great virtue of his own, that which he had acquired with 1,000 pains he maintained with little trouble. On the other hand, Cesare Borgia, called Duke Valentino by the vulgar, acquired his state through the fortune of his father, and lost it through the same, notwithstanding the fact that he made use of every deed and did all those things that should be done by a prudent and virtuous man to put his roots in the states that the arms and fortunes of the others had given. This is a curious passage. He acquired his past. Come on, stop bugging it out. God damn it. Acquired his state through the fortune of his father and lost it through the same. Even though he made use of every tool he had and did everything he needed, and by being everything he needed to do to hold on that territory, and he was prudent and he was virtuous and he was trying to be smart, and he was trying to put his roots in the states, in the arms and fortunes of others who had given. Wait, what? No, this final passage is confusing. All those things that should be done by a prudent and virtuous man to put his roots in the states that the arms and fortunes of others have given him. Yeah, I think this is what it means. Dude did everything he could and he was still not lucky. He did everything he could and he still lost the territory because of luck. Let me actually highlight this. Why is this not highlighting? Okay. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Meaning, let me add this to my notes. Meaning he did everything right. He did everything right and still lost territory. He still lost his territory because of bad luck. Dada. Okay. For as was said above, whoever does not lay his foundations at first might be able, with great virtue, to lay them later, although they might have to be laid with hardship for the architect and with danger to the building. You're welcome for the yawn. Thus, if one considers all the steps of the Duke, one will see that he had laid for himself great foundations for future power, which I do not judge superfluous to discuss, for I do not know what better teaching I could give to a new prince than the example of his action. And if his orders did not bring profit to him, it was not his fault, because this arose from extraordinary and extremely malignity of fortune. Oh yes, exactly what I was saying. As I was thinking. And his orders did not bring profit. It was not his fault, because what happened was extreme bad luck. Copy this. Putting this note in my files, my note file, so that I can remind myself of what I've already read before. Now, moving on. Alexander VI had very many difficulties, both present and future, when he decided to make his son the Great Duke. First, he did not see the path to being able to make him lord of any state that was not the state of the church, and when he decided to take that of the church, he knew that the Duke of Milan and the Venetians would not consent to it, because Faenza and Rimini had for long been under the protection of the Venetians. Besides this, he saw that the arms of Italy, and especially the arms of anyone whom he might have been able to make use of, were in the hands of those who had to fear the greatness of the Pope. So he could not trust them, and they were all with the Orsini and the Colonna and their accomplices. The Orsini and Colonna were two principal noble families of Rome which had long fought for control of Rome and the papacy. It was thus necessary to upset those orders and to bring disorder to the state so as to be able to make himself lord securely of part of them. Oh, this is another interesting passage. I'm just gonna highlight this before I go back to try to digest it. Bring his order. This was easy for him because he found that the Venetians, moved by other causes, were engaged in getting the French to come. They are in place. Were engaged in getting the French to come. They are in place. To come to their place? What? And such princes come to be when a state is given to someone, either for money or by the favor of whoever gives it. It has happened to many in Greece, in the cities of Ionia and the Hellespont, where they were made princes by Darius, so they may hold on to the cities for his purity and glory. I've already read this passage. This is page 26. 54 out of 100, page 27. 55 out of 140, page 26. Okay. Page 27 again. Page 28. Thank you, PDF, for having some weird bugs, but okay. This was easy for him because he found that the Venetians, moved by other causes, were engaged in getting the French to come back into Italy, which he not only did not oppose, but made easier by the dissolution of the former marriage of King Louis. Okay, adds in 2 minutes. Let me just take a look at this passage. Alexander VI had many difficulties, both present and future, when he decided to make his son the Duke great. First, he did not see the path to being able to make him lord of any state that was not the state of the church, and when he decided to take that of the church, he knew that the Duke of Milan and the Venetians would not consent to it, because Firenze and Rimini had for long been under the protection of the Venetians. Besides this, he saw that the arms of Italy, and especially the arms of anyone who he might be able to make use of, were in the hands of those who had to fear the greatness of the Pope. And so he could not trust them, as they were all with the Orsini and the Colonna and their accomplices. So he wanted to make his son a duke, but he could not put him in anywhere that wasn't controlled by the church. And yeah, he wanted to make him son the duke, but everywhere he looked would anger the church, and nobody. Wait, what? Saw the arms of Italy, especially whom he might have been able to. Yeah, and everyone who could actually help him fight it, could help fighting, was also under the control of the church. So he could not anger the church, or even trust anyone to help him secure his son in his position as a great duke. I think that's pretty much it for this passage. We'll continue after the ad breaks in 3 minutes. Ad starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You guys in 3 minutes. Okay, we're back. Okay, so Alexander VI wanted to make his son a duke, but every territory he wanted to take, every ally he wanted to look at, to ask for help, was under control of the church. So it was thus necessary to upset those orders and to bring disorder to the state so as to be able to make himself Lord Security of part of them. So he needed someone to conquer the territories of the church so he could conquer them back, or something of the kind. This was easy for him because he had found that the Venetians, moved by other causes, were engaged in getting the French to come back into Italy, which he not only did not oppose, but he made easier by the dissolution of the former marriage of King Louis. So the king came into Italy with the aid of the Venetians and the consent of Alexander, and he was no sooner in Milan than the Pope got men from him for a campaign in Romagna, which was granted to him because of the reputation of the king. So after the Duke had acquired Romagna and beaten down the Colonna, two things prevented him from maintaining that and going further ahead. One, that his arms did not appear to him to be faithful. The other, the will of France, that is, the Orsini arms of which he had availed by himself, might fail under him, and not only prevent him from acquiring, but also take away what he had acquired, and the king might also do the same to him. He had a test of the Orsini when, after the capture of Faenza, he attacked Bologna, and saw them go coolly to that attack. And regarding the king, the Duke knew his mind when, after he had taken the Duchy of Urbino, he attacked Tuscany, and the king made him desist from that campaign. Hence the Duke decided to depend no longer on the arms or fortune of others, and the first thing he did was to weaken the Orsini and Colonna parties in Rome, where he gained to himself all their adherents, who were gentlemen, by making them his gentlemen and by giving them large allowances, and he honored them according to their qualities with commands and with government posts, so that in a few months the partisan defections in their minds were eliminated, and all affection turned towards the Duke. After this, he waited for an opportunity to eliminate the heads of the Orsini, since he had dispersed those of the Colonna house. And one came to him, and he used it better, for when the Orsini became aware, late, that the greatness of the Duke and of the Church was ruin for them, they held a meeting in Magione, near Perugia. From that arose rebellion in Urbino, tumults in Romagna, and infinite dangers for the Duke, who overcame them all with the aid of the French. And when his reputation had been restored, he trusted neither France nor other external forces, and so as to not put them to the test, he turned to deceit. He knew so well how to dissimulate his intent that the Orsini themselves, to Signor Paolo, became reconciled with him. The Duke did not fail to fulfill every kind of duty to secure Signor Paolo, giving him money, garments, and horses, so that their simplicity brought them into the Duke's stands and Sinigaglia. So when these heads had been eliminated and their partisans had been turned into his friends, the Duke had laid very good foundations for his power, since he had all Romagna with the Duchy of Urbino. He thought especially that he had acquired the friendship of Romagna, and that he had gained all those peoples to himself since they had begun to taste well-being. That is quite a tale. That is quite a tale. So the Duke wanted his son, Alexander VI had wanted to make his son a duke. There was no choice for him. Every territory and every friend was owned by the church. So he wanted to disrupt the power of the church. And he discovers that the Venetians wanted to invite the French into Italy. And he did not oppose that, but made it easier by the dissolution of the marriage. Okay, he helped the dissolution of the marriage, helping the French into Italy. So the French king came to Italy, and he was no sooner in Milan than the Pope got men from him for a campaign in Romania. Oh, I think that the French king managed to reach Milan, and then the Pope, who controlled the French king, asked him to go in a campaign into Romania. Just granted to him because of the reputation of the king. I'm not exactly sure if I interpret this passage right. So after the Duke had acquired Romania... Oh! He was no sooner in Milan than the Pope got men from him for a campaign in Romania. Not sure who got who and what. I think I know that the French king, this passage has already been looked. We've already read this passage before. That the French king invaded Milan, invaded Italy, invited by the Venetians, but he could not finish the invasion because he was forced to leave because the Pope wanted the French king King Louis, to invade Romania. So he was kind of like a ping-ponging between territories, and he could not actually get control all of Italy. So after the Duke had acquired Romania and beaten down Colonna, I guess the Duke joined the King Louis in fighting Romania. Two things preventing him from maintaining that and going further ahead. One, that his arms did not appear to him to be faithful. Oh yes, his army was not very loyal. The other, the will of France, that is, the Orsini's war, which has availed himself, might fail under him. Okay, so he had allied with the French, and in Romania he really on the French. The French are not reliable, and his army is not loyal. I hate these little bugs that keep happening when I select stuff. The king might also do the same to him. Wait. The Orsini arms, the French arms, which he had availed himself, might fail. And not only prevent him from acquiring, but also take away what he acquired. And the king might also do the same to him. So even though he had allied with the French, he could still be, the French could still betray him. He was still under threat of being betrayed by the French. He had a test of the Orsini when, after the capture of Faenza, he attacked Bologna and saw them go coolly to the attack. I guess he means that he saw the will of the French that were allied with him, the Orsini French. He had them go coolly, as in they were cold, they were not very enthusiastic. And regarding the king of France, I think, King Louis, the Duke knew his mind when, after he had taken the Duchy of Urbino, he attacked Tuscany, and the king made him desist from the campaign. Okay, so the king told him to not attack Tuscany. Hence, the Duke decided to depend no longer on the arms and fortune of others. Yeah, he was depending on at first he was no, not at first. He allied with the French to get stuff, but the French were not he was so ambitious that the French were not enough. The French king, being his ally, was not enough. He needed more, so he was gonna go independent. He was gonna go indie, no corporal for him. The first thing he did was to weaken the Orsini and Colonna parties in Rome. So the French, I don't remember what the Colonna are. Where are the Colonna? French, the Orsini and Colonna were two principal noble families of Rome, which had long fought for control of Rome and the papacy. Okay. For he gained to himself all their adherents who were gentlemen by making them his gentlemen give them large allowances. So he gained the... I'm not exactly sure what's the practical... All their adherents who were gentlemen. I'm not sure what these people are in practice. Gentlemen, are they like ministers or important people? Or are they like priests on the papacy? Or something like that, because I think the Roman papacy are kind of similar. And he honored them with commands and government posts, so that in a few months the partisan affections and their minds were eliminated. So yeah, he took the allies, he stole the allies in Rome from Orsini and Colonna. I guess it's something like a, what do you call it? The Americans call it the bribing, the lobbyist. He stole the lobbyists of the Orsini and Colonna families. And after a while, their loyalty was solely for the Duke. After this, he waited for an opportunity to eliminate the hate of the Orsini, since he had dispersed those of the Colonna house. Oh yes, and after he had everything in place, he went for the kill, for the decapitation, to kill the actual noble houses. A good one came to him, and he used it therefore when the Orsini became aware late that the greatness of the Duke and the fruit of the church was ruined for them. They held a meeting. And when the Orsini realized that something was going on, they held a meeting Magione and started a rebellion. But he could still overcome them with the aid of the French, and when his reputation had been restored, the Duke stopped relying on France or other forces so as to not put them to the test. He did not want to strain his relationship with France, so he stopped relying on them. And he turned to the seat. He knew so well how to dislodge his intent that he Orsini themselves, through Signor Paolo, became reconciled with them. So he used Signor Paolo, Signor. How do you actually say this in English? Google Translate, where are you? There you go. Signor, okay. Yeah, basically the same pronunciations in Portuguese. Signor Paolo became reconciled with him. He bribed Paolo, made him very happy. Money, garments, and horses. I'm not sure who Signor Paolo is. And brought them into the Duke's Orsini. A description of the method used by Duke Valentino in killing Vitelliosi Vitelli, Oliverotto da Fermo, and others. Oh, it's not the footnote is not useful. Wait, let's go back to Paolo. And he was so well to dissimulate his intent that they Orsini themselves to Paolo became reconciled with it. I think this means that after he assassinated the heads of the Orsini, after the Duke assassinated the heads of the Orsini family, he used his French. He purposely made a friendship with this dude, Signor Paolo, so that he would help, so that he would get back into the good graces of the Orsini. That is extremely shrewd. I'm not sure how that will work in practice, but that sounds fucking crazy. Dude's a master manipulator. And after the revolts had stopped and the fires of the enemies had died down, he had a very good foundation for his power, and now he has all of Romania with the Duchy of Urbino. And now he also has friends in Romania. Because he was, since they had begun to taste well-being, because since they had begun to get a taste of prosperity, I guess. And now that things were nice, that things were good, that the living was going back to being good again. Now he had friends, so he had everything he needed for a solid grip on power. And because this point is deserving of notice and of being imitated by others, I do not want to leave it out. Once the Duke had taken over Romania, he found it had been commanded by impotent lords who had been readier to despoil their subjects than to correct them, and had given their subjects matter for disunion, not for union. Since that province was quite full of robberies, quarrels, and every other kind of insolence, he judged it necessary to give it good government, if you want to reduce it to peace and obedience to kingly arm. So he put there Messer Ramiro de Orco, a cruel and ready man to whom he gave the fullest power. Short time, Ramiro reduced it to peace and unity with a very greater reputation for himself. Then the Duke judged that such excessive authority was not necessary because he feared that it might become hateful, and he set up a civil court in the middle of the province with a most excellent president where each city had its advocate, and because he knew that past rigors had generated some hatred from Ramiro, to purge the spirits of the people and to gain them entirely to himself, he wished to show that if any cruelty had been committed, this had not come from him, but from the harsh nature of his ministers, and having seized this opportunity, he had him placed one morning in the piazza in Cesana in 2 pieces, with a piece of wood and a bloody knife beside him. The ferocity of the spectacle left the people at once satisfied and stupefied. Okay, he turned, he saw that the Romania was a pretty shit place, full of bad people. So he sent someone to clean up. Messer Ramiro de Rorco, a cruel and ready man, a tyrant who would clean up everything up, would kill all of the bad apples, remove all of the bad apples. But after the dirty work had been done, he actually killed Ramiro to appease the people who were afraid, to appease the people who were offended. That is fucking genius, and also incredibly fucking shrewd. He used the dude as a scapegoat, as a janitor, and also as a scapegoat. That's a master plan, honestly. That's actually a good plan. Yeah, it's a massive asshole plan, but still a good plan. What was the last? That was the last. Okay, I need to make some notice. Oh yes, there's one note that I need to go. He gained himself. There's one passage that I want to make a highlight. Of the Duke, from the arm to appear to be fatal, the other. There is the other side. He had a test of the Orsini. Hence the Duke decided to no longer prepares. Oh, come on. Stop bugging out. Hence the Duke decided to depend no longer on the arms and fortune of others. This is an important passage. Do not depend on anyone. The others, I think. Okay, in one of his spirit, this one is also important. Oh, god damn it! Stop bugging out. He turned, and when his reputation, he turned to deceit. This one is also an interesting passage. He decided not to push his alliance with the French to the test. He decided to become independent multiple times. He's a strong, independent lord who needs no allies. He found that had been commanded, and his top province, he judged it necessary to give. He wanted to be, yeah. So he put there, Messer Ramiro de Orco. He judged it necessary to give it a good judgment, if you want to reduce it. So he passed already to go. Okay, this passage is also important. This one will be in 2 pieces, actually. This passage. Obedience given to the post fowler. Context 1. He put this dude in power, and then in context 2, he put a cruel dude in power to do the cleaning up, and the Duke just was not necessary because he feared he might become hateful. The Duke dude, oh my god, fucking. I become hateful. You wish to show that if any cruelty is not coming from me. Multiple passages are. I need to stitch up multiple passages. Thank you for the follow, Regulus Owell. Lovely to have you here with us. Now that you are followed, you have accepted selling your soul to Gramarye. She's always happy to gain more acolytes, and after every stream, she's gonna give you a little visit for a little bit of life force milking. But don't worry, she has learned not to kill people by over milking. I hope you have fun. Generated, and because in your past years to Borgia's period, you wish to show. Oh no, this one is too big. Oh. He wished to show that if any cruelty had been committed, this is a combo from harsh nature of the minister. This one is also passive. A bit scared, don't worry. Don't worry, you enjoy it. Might look scary at first, but I'm sure you enjoy it. And having seized this opportunity, he had in place one morning in 2 pieces. Okay. 3 passages. These 3 passages are the important ones. Let me copy them. Now when I copy from PDF, there's like a lot of weird. There's like a lot of weird little, what's it called, formatting issues, so I need to clean it up before I forget. There we go. Now this is his passage. And having seized this opportunity, he had him placed one morning in the piazza at Cesena in 2 pieces, with a piece of wood and a bloody knife beside him. The ferocity of this spectacle left the people at once satisfied and stupefied. But let us return to where we left off. I say that when the Duke found himself very powerful and secure in part against present dangers, since he had armed to suit himself and had in good part eliminated those arms which were near enough to have attacked him, there remained for him, if he wanted to proceed with acquisition, to consider the King of France, for he knew that those would not be tolerated by the king, who had been late to perceive this error. And so he began to seek out new friendships to vacillate with France in the expedition that the French were making towards the kingdom of Naples against the Spanish who were besieging Gaeta. His intent was to secure himself against them, in which he would soon have succeeded if Alexander had lived. Oh. Who died? Was the Duke Alexander died? The Duke Alexander himself died? Yeah, he had secured himself. He had arms. He had eliminated the armies of his. He had soldiers. He had eliminated the armies of his enemies, which were near enough to attack him. So the only thing that he needed was to consider. The only enemy that could threaten him was the King of France, who eventually learned that this Duke was kind of a huge fucking snake, and might be too dangerous to be left alive. But the worst happened is that Alexander died. Who was Alexander? Was he the Duke? And there were his arrangements as to present things, but as to the future, he had to fear first that a new successor in the church might not be friendly to him. Oh, wait, was Alexander the Pope? The new successor in the church might not be friendly to him, and might seek to take away what Alexander had given him. Oh, I think Alexander was the Pope. So his ally, or someone important in the church, died. So now he had a trouble, because the new person might not be friendly to him, and might seek to take away what Alexander had given him. He thought he might secure himself against us in 4 modes. First, to eliminate the bloodlines of all those lords he had despoiled, so as to take that opportunity away from the Pope. Second, oh shit! All of the nobles, all of the lords he had despoiled, all of the lords that were his enemies in this new territory, he killed them all. anyone who might have a grudge against him, a grudge that could be used by the Pope, he eliminated them. That is kind of brutal. Second, to win over to himself all the gentlemen in Rome, as was said, so as to be able to hold the Pope in check with them. Oh, so yes, this gentleman might be people related to the church. People who are able to influence the Pope and keep them in check. This new Pope, because of did he say the name of the new Pope? Nope. Just that there's a new Pope. Third, to make the College of Cardinals as much his as he could. Oh, take over the College of Cardinals. Cardinals. English, why you're always so weird?
Cardinals.
Yes, he was taking over the College of Cardinals, which are people on the high managers of the church, of the papacy. Oh, I'm getting some. Hold up. There's some messages over here on my cell phone. As much as he could, and fourth, to acquire so much empire before the Pope died that he could resist a first attack. To acquire so much empire that he could resist a first attack on his own. Okay. Of these 4 things he had accomplished 3 at the death of Alexander. The 4th he almost accomplished. For of the lords he had despoiled, he killed as many as he could reach, and very few saved themselves. The Roman gentleman had been won over to himself. In the college he had a very large party, and as to new acquisition, he had planned to become lord over Tuscany. He already possessed Perugia and Piombino, and he had taken Pisa under his protection. And as soon as he did not have to pay regard to France, which he did not have to do any longer, since the French had already been stripped of the kingdom by the Spanish, so that each of them was first of necessity to buy his friendship, he would have jumped on Pisa. After thus, Lucca and Siena would have quickly yielded, in part through envy of the Florentines, in part through fear. Florentines had no remedy. If he had succeeded in this, as he was succeeding the same year that Alexander died, he would have acquired such force and reputation that he would have stood by himself and would no longer have depended on the fortune and force of someone else, but on his own power and virtue. But Alexander died 5 years after he had begun to draw his sword. He left the Duke with only the state of Romania consolidated, without the others in the air between 2 very powerful enemy armies, and sick to death. And there was such ferocity and virtue in the Duke, and he knew so well how men have to be won over or lost, and so sound were the foundations that he had laid in so little time, that if he had not these armies on his back, or if he had been healthy, he would have been equal to every difficulty. And that his foundations were good, one may see Romania waited for him for more than a month. In Rome, though he was half alive, he remained secure, and though the Baglioni, Vitelli, and Orsini came to Rome, none followed them against him. If he could not make Pope whoever he wanted, at least he would not be someone he did not want. But if at the death of Alexander the Duke had been healthy, everything would have been easy for him. And he told me, on the day that Julius II was created, that he had thought about what might happen when his father was dying, and have found a remedy for everything, except that he never thought that at his death he himself would also be on the point of dying. Okay, so the Pope died, and the Duke was sick, so he could not actually finish his plans, because after the Pope died, you need to immediately start to voting on a new one, or at least quickly. But since the Duke was sick, he could not finish his plans before the new Pope was elected. Though he could not exactly elect a Pope he wanted himself, he could prevent a Pope he did not want to come into power, because he was so powerful that even while sick, he still had this much influence on things. Thus, if I summed up all the actions of the Duke, I would not know how to reproach him. On the contrary, it seems to me he should be put forward, as I have done, to be imitated by all those who have risen to empire through fortune and by the arms of others. For with his great spirit and high intention, he could not have conducted himself otherwise. The only things in the way of his plans were the brevity of Alexander's life and his own sickness. So whoever judges it necessary in his new principality to secure himself against enemies, to gain friends to himself, to conquer either by force or by fraud, to make himself loved and feared by the people, and follow and revered by the soldiers, to eliminate those who can or might offend you, to renew old orders through new modes, to be severe and pleasant, magnanimous and liberal, to eliminate an unfaithful military, to create a new one, to maintain friendship with kings and princes so that they must either benefit you with favor or be hesitant to offend you. Can find no fresher. That is... Holy shit, that is a... So whoever judges the necessary... Stop bugging it out, please, for God's sake. Yeah, that is a huge fucking paragraph of praise. That is a huge fucking paragraph, all of praise for this dude. Can find no fresher. Only accuse him in the creation of Julius as pontiff, in which he made a bad choice, for, as was said, though he could not make pope to suit himself, he could have kept anyone from being pope. And for the papacy, he should never have consented to those cardinals whom he had offended, or who, having become pope, would have to be afraid of him. For men offend either from fear or from hatred. Those whom he had offended were, among others, San Piero ad Vincula, Colonna, San Giorgio, Ascanio. All the others, if they had become pope, would have had to fear him, except Ruin and the Spaniard. The latter because of kingship and obligation, the former for his power, because he was connected to the kingdom of France. Therefore, the Duke, before everything else, should have created a Spaniard pope, and if he could not, should have consented to Ruin, and not San Piero ad Vincula. And whoever believes that among great personages new benefits deceives himself. So the Duke erred in his choice, and it was the cause of his ultimate ruin. So the Duke did everything right except for being sick, which led to making a mistake. Well, not exactly, he did everything right, it's just that he got sick and that made him make a mistake in selecting a new pope. But who is this guy? Let's go back and find his name. Alexander VI. Alexander VI and the Prince. Pope Alexander VI. Elected Pope Benign in 1492 was skilled politician and considered to expand the territorial power of the Catholic Church through diplomacy and warfare. Famous for the corruption of his papacy, Alexander sized several illegitimate children, including Cesare Borgia, who he lavished with appointments and military funding. Wait, so he was a pope and he wanted to make his son the duke. He was not a duke. Oh, so this fucking master. Oh, he was a pope himself. Why did you not say this? Wait, but then he calls him Steps of the Duke. It's not the Pope. What? Or maybe the father. Maybe it's the son. Cesare Borgia. I want to bring up two examples that have occurred in days within our memory, and these are Francesco Sforza and Cesare Borgia. Francesco became Duke of Milan from private individual by proper means, and with a great virtue of his own, and that which he had acquired 1,000 pains and maintained with little trouble. On the other hand, Cesare Borgia, called Duke Valentino by the vulgar, acquired his state through the fortune of his father and lost it through the same. Okay. It's just that there's like Francesco Yeah, Francesco became Duke of Milan, and now there's Cesare Borgia, who's also a duke. And now there's Alexander VI, who I think, yeah, I see that he's the father of this dude, Cesare Borgia. He's a pope. But then he says duke over here, doesn't he? So after the duke had acquired Romania and beaten down Colonia. So there's a confusing. I'm not sure which duke he's talking about here anymore. I thought the duke was the master. I think he may be calling his son. Hence, the duke decided to depend no longer on the arms and fortunes of others. Okay, no, it is Cesare Borgia we're talking about here, and his father was the duke. His father was the pope who wanted to make him a duke. So he did all of this intrigue and planning and politicking. But his father died 5 years after his plan started, so his intent was to secure himself against them, in which he could soon have succeeded if Alexander, his father, the Pope, Alexander VI, his father, the Pope, had lived. He could not choose. He had a lot of power, but he could not choose the next Pope, and he was also sick. Except that he never thought himself. Never thought that his death, his death at the death of his father, he himself, the Duke, the son, Cesare Borgia, would also be at the point of dying. Thus, if I summed up all the actions of the Duke, I would not know how to reproach him. Yeah, he did. The Duke, Cesare Borgia, did everything he could to secure himself in his position as a Duke, but he still failed. Now let me adjust my chair over here. So the Duke earned his choice, and it was cause of his ultimate ruin. But what happened to Cesare Borgia? Cesare Borgia. Let's take a quick Wikipedia look. Take a look at this Wikipedia page. If there's anything interesting. Cesare Borgia. Let me also check if I'm pronouncing this right.
Cesare Borgia.
Cesare Borgia.
Cesare Borgia.
Cesare Borgia. Whatever. Was an Italian cardinal and condottiero, meaning mercenary leader, an illegitimate son of Pope Alexander VI and member of the Spanish Aragonese House of Borgia. His fight for power was a major inspiration for the prince by Niccolò Machiavelli. After initially entering the church and becoming a cardinal on his father's election to the papacy, he resigned as cardinal after the death of his brother in 1498. He served as condottiero for King Louis VI of France, King Louis XIII. God damn it, Roman numerals. I don't know how to read. He served as mercenary for King Louis XII of France around in the 1500s and occupied Milan and Naples during the Italian Wars. At the same time, he carved out a state for himself in central Italy. But after his father's death, he was unable to retain power for long. According to Machiavelli, that was not due to a lack of foresight, but his error in creating a new pope. But how did he fall? Borgia capture who had been in the hands of forces loyal to Louis de Beaumont, the Count of Lorraine, Ferdinand's Faragars, that one carved. Borgia chasing after a group of knights that were fleeing a castle, only to find himself on his own. The party of knights, discovering that he was alone, trapped him in an ambush where he received a fatal injury from a spear. He was staying stripped of all his luxurious garments, valuables, and a leather mask covering half his face. Disfigured, possibly by syphilis during his late years, Borgia was left lying naked with just a red tile covering his genitals. Oh damn, that's kind of a sad end, considering he was almost a duke himself, and I could almost have named a pope himself. Okay, the new Pope, Pope Pius III, supported Cesare Borgia, and he confirmed him as gonfalonier, a sort of military or political officer of the Papal States. But after a brief pontificate of 26 days, he died. What? At just 26 days, Pope Pius XIII was one of the shortest pontificates in Papal history. The new Pope seems to be kind of loyal to him, but after 26 days, this new Pope also died. That's a double stroke of luck. His father died before his plans were done, and the new Pope, who seems to be kind of okay, also died. Borgia's deadly enemy, Giuliano della Rovere, then succeeded by dexterous diplomacy in tricking the weakened Cesare Borgia into supporting him by offering him money and continued backing for Borgia's policies in Romania. Promises which he disregarded upon his election as Pope Julius II by the near unanimous vote of the cardinals. Realized his mistake by then, Cesare tried to correct the situation in his favor, but Pope Julius II made sure of its failure at every turn. Cesare was, for example, forced by Julius to give up San Marino after occupying the Republic for 6 months. Cesare Borgia was facing considered his ally. He was betrayed by a person he was considered his ally and was imprisoned there. While his lands were retaken by the papacy. In 504, he was transferred to Spain and imprisoned first in the castle of Chinchilla in La Mancha. After an attempt to escape, he was moved north to the castle of La Mota, Medina del Campo near Segovia. He didn't manage to escape with assistance, and after running across Santander, Durango, and Guipúzcoa, he arrived in Pamplona on December 3rd, 1506, and he was welcomed by King John III of Navarre, who was missing an experienced military commander ahead of the fiery Castilian invasion. Okay. So he lost basically everything with his new pope. He backed the wrong pope, who then betrayed him and stole everything from him. He had everything only to lose it almost instantly because of this new pope. That is a sad tale. That is a sad tale. But considering he was just a illegitimate son of a pope, and he only worked as a mercenary, he got really close to greatness himself. Now let's move on to the next chapter, 5, 6, 7, 8. Chapter 8, of those who have attained a principality through crimes. But because one becomes prince from private individual also by two. Let me actually take a look at the names of the titles. No. Is there an index at the beginning? Of those who have attained a principality through crimes, of the civil principality, in what mode the forces of all principalities should be measured, of ecclesiastical principalities, how many kinds of military there are, and concerning mercenary soldiers, of auxiliary, mixed and own soldiers, what a prince should do regarding the military, of those things for which men, especially princes, are praised and blamed, of liberality and parsimony. What's parsimony? I've heard those words before, but I don't remember the meaning. The quality of being careful with money or resources. Economy in the use of means to an end. Okay. Oh, of being free with money and then being tied with money. Or resources, not just money. of cruelty and mercy, and whether it is better to be loved than feared, or the contrary, in what mode faith should be kept by princes, for avoiding contempt and hatred, whether fortresses and many other things which are made and done by princes every day are useful or useless. What princes should do to be held in esteem, of those whom princes have as secretaries, in what mode flatterers are to be avoided, why the princes of Italy have lost their states, how much fortune it can do in human affairs, and in what mode it may be opposed. Exhortation to seize Italy and to free her from the barbarians. That is a lot of, I see a lot of interesting chapters for me. So while this is taking long, I think I really do need to continue reading it. It is very useful. Could I make a new? Okay, let's just make a highlight of this. This is high praise. Let's just make a note of this. Just sum up. Okay. Now, next chapter 7. But because one becomes prince from private individual also by two modes, which cannot be altogether attributed either to fortune or to virtue, I do not think they should be left out, although one of them can be reasoned about more amply where republics are treated. I absorbed nothing of this sentence. I've absorbed nothing of what I've just read. But because one becomes prince from private individual also by two modes which cannot be altogether attributed either to fortune or to virtue, I do not think they should be left out, although one of them can be reasoned about more amply where republics are treated. These are when ascents to a principality by some criminal and nefarious path, or when a private citizen becomes prince of his fatherland by the support of his fellow citizens. And to speak of the first, the other modern, without entering otherwise into merits of this issue, because I judge it sufficient would find. What? Is there something missing over here? Some text missing over here? I think there's text missing. He always kept you alive. Rank of his career. Yeah, there's definitely some text missing over here. What the fuck? It even looks like there's some blurs. Yeah, it looks like there's some pixels over here. The text just got screwed over. What the fuck? Why? Aw. Okay, I guess I'll just ignore this passage. If I can read it. Nonetheless, his crimes were accompanied with such virtue of spirit and body that when he turned to the military, he rose through its ranks to become praetor of Syracuse. After he was established in that rank, he decided to become prince and to hold with violence and without obligation to anyone else that which had been conceded to him by agreement. Having given intelligence of his plan to Hamilcar the Carthaginian, who was with his armies fighting in Sicily, one morning he assembled the people and senate of Syracuse, as he had to decide things pertinent to the republic. At a signal he had ordered, he had all the senators and the riches of the people killed by his soldiers. Once they were dead, he seized and held the principate of that city without any civil controversy. And although he was defeated twice by the Carthaginians and in the end besieged, not only was he able to defend his city, but also, leaving part of his men for defense against the siege, he attacked Africa with the others. In a short time, he freed Syracuse from the siege and brought the Carthaginians to dire necessity. They were compelled of necessity to come to an agreement with him, to be content with the possession of Africa and to leave Sicily to Agathocles. Thus, whoever might consider the action and virtue of this man will see nothing or little that can be attributed to fortune. For what was said before, not through anyone's support, but through the ranks of the military which he had gained for himself with 1,000 hardships and dangers, he came to the Principate, and afterwards he maintained it with many spirited and dangerous policies. Yet one cannot call it virtue to kill one's citizens, betray one's friends, to be without faith, without mercy, without religion. Those modes can enable one to acquire empire, but not glory. For if one considers the virtue of Agathocles in entering into and escaping from dangers and the greatness of his spirit in enduring and overcoming adversities, one does not see why he has to be judged inferior to any most excellent captain. Nonetheless, his savage cruelty and inhumanity, that's kinda rich coming from you. Inhumanity, that's rich coming from Machiavelli. Together with his infinite crimes, do not permit him to be celebrated amongst the most excellent men. Thus, one cannot attribute to fortune or to virtue what he achieved without either. Okay, I'm just gonna highlight this, and I think I'm gonna end it right here. Already 3 hours. Just wanna, for one, if consider. Okay. There we go. He's a... Oh, the meaning of this test is that Agathocles was a bad man, but he still achieved a lot. And it wasn't because of luck. He was actually fucking smart and good at military. He was just a fucking asshole. An evil, immoral man. No, not immoral. A cruel and inhuman man that even appalled Machiavelli himself. But he was also a very skilled captain and conqueror, capable of with very high military skills. But we're gonna leave it over here because it's 3 hours. I've read a lot, I've talked a lot, and now I need to rest and go to sleep early because tomorrow I have a collab. And I need to go to the grocery store and then and buy the veggies for the week before the collab. So I need to wake up early. So that I can go to the store, and then we'll have a collab tomorrow with Thornkite, Kenikoda, and Zeph Hatum about Warcraft 3 custom game. It's gonna be a very fun game. It's gonna be a very fun collab. I really like Warcraft 3 custom games. They're very unique and they're just nice. They're just new games in itself using the Warcraft 3 engine. Without all the trouble of buying new games, setting up new games. It's like a really fun. This is gonna be a really fun time tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. But since I'm playing Warcraft 2 tomorrow, the next Sunday will actually be FPS Sunday. I normally play RTS on Sunday, but just gonna change it up since technically Warcraft does count. Warcraft custom game does count as something strategy-like, depending on the custom map. So Saturday will be FPS, and then I'll make a new schedule. But next week's gonna be a bit spicy. Gonna have a lot of fun next week. I can assure you guys that will be very my specialty. Will be a very interesting week. Now let's see, who do I raid? Talking about what we've learned today, I've actually enjoyed this section, this stream a lot. I'm learning a lot, honestly. It helps it helps you create a better view of how things work in your mind. Reading Machiavelli's thoughts. It's not like he goes too deep and in detail over every techniques or something or things like that. He gives examples, so that's good. But also he's very I could say insightful. He's very insightful into the inner workings and establishing them and how everything works in a logical manner. Very interesting. It's just that the what do I say? It's just that the way of speech is kind of old and antiquated, so it's sometimes a bit hard to understand. But I've been doing well translating. Have a good night, man, and thank you, Cody. Have a good night to you too, everyone. I'm still looking. Well, who do I actually raid this time? Honestly, I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna go with Coyote Knight. It's been a while since he raided me once, I think. He's a Turok player. He's a Turok streamer. He likes streaming Turok most of the time, a lot of the time. And since he likes playing retro games, I think he's like one of my kind. So gonna give him a little raid. I think he raided me once already, so I'm just returning it. See you guys tomorrow. I think. Oh, what is the time for who's gonna be to you guys? The time of tomorrow's stream. I kind of forgot. It's gonna be like 11 a.m. Yeah, for me it's like 1 p.m. But for you guys, next stream tomorrow 11 a.m. Take care of your waifus. Take care of your husbandos. Here is your raid message. Also, let's test this one. Say goodbye. Thank you for joining me too, Hyde. Lovely to have you here.
Farewell, my devoted acolytes. Know that we shall meet again, bound by our shared desires and the irresistible allure of pleasure. Until that time, may your hearts be filled with passion and your souls be consumed by the ecstasy we bestow. Until we meet again, my darlings.
Bye-bye.